Xbox players are here, brother. They're arriving. Helldivers 2 is about to onboard all the Xbox folks, and I want to help them out. I think it's important we give them some tips so they can succeed right away.
We came up with 14 tips that we think are crucial for any new Helldiver. A lot of these tips are going to be rudimentary, but if you have a better tip, comment it below and let's help all our brothers. Okay, let's get into our first tip. Micho, reloading your weapon.
Dude, it's so important, my brothers. This isn't like other games. At least it wasn't for me. Normally, let's use Call of Duty for example. If you shoot half your mag and you reload, it's just magic bullets and they're just there. In Helldivers 2, it's realistic in the sense that you're throwing away your ammunition. So reload when you actually run out of ammo, not before. Otherwise, you're just wasting precious resources.
I think that's definitely a hard habit to break because I'm the person in Call of Duty where, I get an elimination and immediately reload my LMG that has 100 rounds left in the mag,
Yeah, we all do it. It's just, in Helldivers 2, brothers, don't. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, break the habit. Okay, tip number 2, Micho. Complete the operations and the major orders.
Yeah, dude, you gotta accumulate those medals. I think medals are your lifeblood in Helldivers 2 if you want to unlock all the cool new fancy gadgets that Papa Arrow has blessed us with. And in an operation, there will always be 3 missions. And the first mission will grant you, dependent upon your difficulty, the least amount of medals. Then you have the second mission that you complete, you'll get more. And then the third, you'll get even more. And if you don't complete the operation in sequential order, you're going to risk forfeiting the benefits of more medals right off the rip. So if you're a new player and you're trying to amass medals, I think you complete operations before moving on to another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And a cool thing you can do, like maybe you want to play, bugs, so you start an operation on bugs, but then you're like, oh, I don't want to finish this operation on bugs. Have a friend start an operation on bots or on Illuminate, or join a quick play bots or Illuminate, because your operation will save for the next time you come back, so you can complete that at a later time. As Micho said, medals are your keys to the city of Helldiver. You guys have 15 Warbonds that you can work through. You're going to need some medals. Tip number 3, experiment with the factions.
Oh yeah, you got to get in there. You have to play around. Arrowhead has done a good job because each faction's just so different. It's a completely different experience going up against the bugs, going up against the automatons, and going up against the Illuminate. Each of them offers something different in terms of difficulty, in terms of enemy type, and it's just worth getting in there and playing in the mud.
Yeah, and I think it'll make you just a better diver. And a quick tip, I guess I would say, the way I explain the differences between the factions is bugs are the kind of faction where you're going to get overwhelmed by a horde and you're kind of just going to spray the horde down. Bots are the kind of faction where you're going to want to have a lot of cover. You're going to want to take longer range shots. You're going to want to take out bigger targets more often. And Illuminate are kind of like a really healthy medium balance. Yeah, a hybrid. You have the voteless that'll swarm you, and then you have the overseers that will shoot you from a distance, so you kind of have to play a little bit of both.
And the harvesters, the walking Kamehameha machines, those things are zinging you from leagues away while you're getting besieged from voteless. So, like you said, they're very much a healthy combination of the other 2 factions.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll just add is, like, your training on one faction will still assist you in the other factions, so it's important for you to try them all. And the next tip is get good at reinforcing. Your teammates are going to die a lot, so it's very important that you learn that stratagem code and you have that locked down. It's crucial to know the respawn mechanics, but that tip's a little deeper too. You want to get good at respawns, knowing when to call someone back. It's not always appropriate to call somebody back right away. If you're surrounded by enemies, don't call your teammates right on you. Throw them far away. If you're not surrounded by enemies, don't throw your teammates into the spot they just died, because that's probably surrounded by enemies. So find some clearing, settle the storm, and then call them in or throw them super far away.
Yeah.
And
just communicate.
Or ask them. Yeah, that's a good point. How do you want me to call you back? This is a hot situation,
You will bring different loadouts for each faction. I wouldn't rock the same gear I play against bugs, against the bots. And I won't use the same thing I use against the bots that I do against the Illuminate.
Well, so that actually is a perfect segue into our 5th tip, which is experiment with your loadouts. So kind of like you were saying, Micho, it's really important to experiment with different weapons on different factions because they operate differently. You might love a gun on bugs, absolutely love a gun on bugs, and it's the worst possible thing you can bring for another faction, in your opinion, in terms of just fun. And my example for that is the Eruptor.
I was just going to say, the Eruptor.
Phenomenal against the Illuminate, and good against the bots.
Yeah, not bad, but what do you think about it against the bugs?
Oh, no, it's awful. It's horrible.
You shouldn't do that.
No.
You're going to just have a bad time. Unless you truly are, like, playing from a distance the entire time and you're not risking any close-range encounters. But playing against bugs, that's kind of going to be hard to do.
But I think an important part of experimenting with your loadout is you can bring the Eruptor on bugs. You can still do work with the Eruptor, but now you have to experiment. So if you want to bring the Eruptor, you need a secondary that can handle the swarm.
Exactly. So bring a bulwark or a machine gun. Like, if you shoot an enemy right in front of you with the Eruptor, you're going to be sent flying. You're not going to have a good time. You'll explode yourself.
You'll die, and you'll waste reinforcements. All right, moving on. This is kind of in line with loadouts. Let's talk about tip number 6. Don't discount the starting weapons. You mentioned the machine gun.
Dude,
tell me about it.
The machine gun is if I'm not mistaken, the only stratagem you're blessed with right off the rip without having to unlock. I could be wrong on that.
You get 2 stratagems. You get the support machine gun and the
orbital precision strike.
Yeah,
which is very good. But the machine gun in particular, as far as a weapon stratagem, don't sleep on it, dudes. Papa Arrowhead gave it to you for a reason. It's one of the most well-rounded, responsible weapons you can bring for any of the factions, quite frankly. And it pairs very well with if you're choosing a primary that's more suited to long-range encounters and like slower-paced reloads, like the Eruptor.
Micho, let's get into tip number 7. Embrace the sandbox. What do we mean by the sandbox?
There's a lot of fun to be had in this game that doesn't involve just necessarily completing the mission. You're free to do whatever you want as soon as you drop on these maps. And there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of things to explore. There's a lot of ways to go about completing your objective.
This is a mission-based game. You're going to want to drop down and complete objectives. But the way you get to approach that is completely up to you. And that's where a majority of the fun comes in with this game. Micho, let's get into tip number 8, the Warbonds. We actually talked about this.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we have a video on Warbonds.
We do. We kind of made a tier list.
Yeah, there's a lot of information. If you guys really want to learn about Warbonds, check out our video that we just posted. We go through it in extreme detail in this video, and for the sake of the length of this video, we're not going to get into too much of it. But if you want a really dense understanding of Warbonds, check this out.
Want to give them a couple quick tips with them?
Yeah, I think one is don't knock the free Warbond. Helldivers Mobilize. It's the first Warbond you get. It has the most pages. It's completely free with your purchase of the game, of course. And it has so many weapons. There's a lot of different boosters and stratagems and nades. And it's a melting pot of a lot of different things that I think you will find serviceable.
Yeah.
Without you having to spend money or go accumulate super credits to unlock other Warbonds. So take advantage of the free Warbond off the rip.
But if you're eager to buy a Warbond or you got the Super Citizen Edition, what do we recommend? What do you recommend?
Well, for me personally, I love nades in this game. The grenades are beautiful, and one grenade in particular, the thermite grenade, is arguably one of the best grenades in the game. Yeah. It does a beautiful job of taking down a lot of different units per faction, particularly heavy units, with 1 or 2 uses. And they close bug holes. And they close down factories. And they stick to things, and they just look cool. And that is a part of the democratic detonation, if I'm not mistaken. So if you really want a solid grenade and you feel like spending some super credits, check that out.
The other thing is all your Warbonds can be free.
That's true. You don't have to spend more money on this game outside of buying the game itself, you know.
No. You can either play this game a lot or you can grind this game hard. And how you grind this game is go on a lower difficulty, go to all the POIs, and start looking for super credits around the maps.
You can amass these super credits within a couple of hours, and you can buy a lot of Warbonds.
Let's talk about tip number 9, leaning into your play style. What does that mean?
Me example, I love being a heavy gunner. I like being able to just shred down the masses. I want to be able to provide that utility for my team, especially if I'm playing with brothers, right? I want to be able to provide a utility for maybe a guy like you who is bringing in a Manja rifle. We call it a Manja rifle because we're Italians, but it's called the EAT anti-tank rifle thingy,
Expendable,
right? It's like a bazooka.
Anti-tank.
The expendable anti-tank. So I'm playing a heavy gunner and I want to cover my guy that's taking down these larger units. I'll be able to do that. And it feels good just being able to cover guys that are doing the important things.
No, I think that's a very good point that you bring up. Another really good example of that is Pharaoh. He's our producer, and before there was a fast recon vehicle in this game, he did not really enjoy this game. He played it with us a little bit, and then he stopped playing it. But as soon as a car came in, he's like, that is my journey. That's my goal. Like, he loves to be our Uber driver now. You know, he drops in, he brings us to place. Now him and I are fighting because I like to bring the car too, but he brings us to places, drops us off, we do the objective, he picks us back up. Or I've seen him in some missions, like we drop samples across the map and we can't go get it. And he's like, oh, I'll just go on a little cruise right now and go get it. That's his playstyle. And again, that's kind of like the sandboxy thing. That's how he found fun in it. So find your playstyle and lean into it. Let's talk about some settings for tip number 10.
I like playing the game with no HUD. I like nothing on the screen. It just makes it feel more wholesome and I just enjoy the experience more. So what I would recommend is play around with your controller and pick a button that you don't really use for much else. Perhaps like one of the thumbsticks, maybe your right or left thumbstick, try to bind it to that. And if you do that, then you can enjoy the game without so much busyness.
The other thing I will say with the HUD, though, too, is you can experiment it with it. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can kind of add some kind of curve so that it looks like it's inside your helmet, which I actually really appreciate doing. The other thing is I think you should turn on crossplay. I don't think there's any reason for crossplay to ever be off in this game.
This isn't a game where it's not a competitive game. It's not like you're going against... You're not playing a shooter versus PC players on console, you know?
Yeah,
if anything, you want the PC guys on your team.
There's also another really important setting that doesn't matter until you get the car stratagem. So you'll find that the car in Helldivers 2 is designed in a way to make the game chaotic. And what I mean by that is you have to manually switch gears. So in most driving games, you know, you press your right trigger and you're driving forward, and you press your left trigger and you're driving backwards. In Helldivers 2, it doesn't work that way. Press your right trigger, you drive forward if you're in drive. But if you want to reverse, you have to switch gears to reverse and then hit the right trigger to go back. There's a setting that basically allows automatic reverse. I recommend that because it makes the driving a little bit more smooth. You can still switch gears and do all that, but it just allows you to hit L2 to reverse, and that's huge for me. My other tip for a setting that you should implement is your aim mode per weapon. You should change your aim mode to per weapon. What that does is there's some weapons where you can, well, all weapons, you can go into first person and kind of look down sight. I recommend that you switch that to per weapon. The reason I do is because what that will do is if you have your primary out, and let's say it's a sniper, you're scoped in and you're looking down, but if you need to switch to your secondary, it doesn't automatically put you in that first person view, which can be super helpful. All right, Micho, let's talk about tip number 11, a couple of controls that you absolutely should know.
Yeah, dude. So holding down the reload button, dependent upon the weapon that you have in your hand, will provide you a menu with the ability, depending again on the weapon, to change your scope type, to change your rate of fire, which is super important because you can get a lot of different utilities out of different weapons, to toggle on your flashlight on and off, things like that. So each weapon has an ability where you can toggle different settings by holding the reload button. Just play around with that. You might find some fun in it.
I also think that dropping your backpack can be very important, especially if you're ever going to experiment with the Hell Bomb.
Oh yeah, if my Xbox brothers, if you find a portable Hell Bomb, if you have the privilege of having that, it's a lot of fun, but only if you are able to take it off, because if you keep it on, you're going to die a horrible death. So being able to just quickly, what is it, down on the D-pad? And you can do this with any backpack, but if you hold down on the D-pad, you can take it off. And in the circumstance of having a portable Hell Bomb, I think that's in your best interest.
You can also drop your weapons and samples like that if you're holding them.
Correct.
The other control that you should really know about is putting your guard dog away. If you ever get the privilege of using a guard dog, you want to know how to tell it to stay.
We've learned that the hard way. So tap down on the D-pad, and then it'll tell him to just take a nap. And then you just tap it again, and he'll come back out and play.
All right, let's talk about tip number emotes and communications. Communication in this game is huge, but if you're shy, you don't want to talk on voice, whatever it is, you don't have to do that. You can ping in this game, and your
ping system's nice.
It's really nice. It's not just like a ping, this is here. There's a whole bracket of communication. You know, you can apologize for killing your teammates. You can say yes. You can say no. You can say thank you. You can say I need supplies. You can say I need stims. Like, anything you could want is there.
And it's super versatile. It works well.
All right, Micho, tip number 13. Play with some friends.
It's important, guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. This game, if you fall in love with this game like we have, dropping solo could be a great time. Dropping with a duo, and there's just 2 of you, can be a great time. But playing with a full squad, my brothers, that's where the true joy comes from. Being able to strategize and coordinate and just roll with your pack of brothers as you decimate whatever faction you're going up against, that's where all the fun in the world comes with this game. Driving around in a fast recon vehicle, covering each other on certain objectives, just mowing things down with your brothers. It's pure dopamine, boys.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, if you don't have a group of friends to play with, the quick play is a very fine way to meet people. I've met a lot of nice people playing just through quick play.
And it's quick. You get into matches very easily.
You definitely get into matches very easily, but if you're looking for people to play with, we have started Discord recently. The link will be in the description, and we've played games with our Discord buddies.
Yeah. I got 1 or 2. I haven't played with the General yet, personally. I really want to play with the General. I feel like I'll just learn a lot. But the point is, we have a Discord, brothers, and we want to play with you guys. I think it's important that the Helldivers community play with each other. Let's play with each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so check that out. No obligations, but come play with us. All right, tip number 14. Pay attention to environmental conditions in the operations.
You can just be cruising, right? And all of a sudden, boom, earthquake, tremors. What the fuck? Oh shit, are those comets raining down from the sky? Holy shit, is there an ion storm happening right now and I can't call in any respawns or stratagems?
Yeah, so when you're selecting a mission briefing, you can see the environmental factors. And when you're deciding what mission to do and also the briefing, it'll tell you exactly like what's going on. And a couple important ones that I think you should look out for are the hot maps will overheat your weapon. So if you're using an energy weapon, it'll overheat your weapons faster. I believe the reverse is true if you're on a cold planet. Yeah, and another thing is like blizzards and sandstorms. What those will do is like inhibit your movement, so you can't really run, and you have to kind of walk, and you can't see anything.
But a lot of enemies can't see you. Fun fact.
Right.
So you can actually use it as a distraction to kind of evade enemies as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or bring a recon vehicle so you don't have to get slowed down. Micho, that's our last tip. I hope these guys enjoyed. I hope they can leave us a like and maybe a comment. Give us some more tips for other people. Let us know if any of these helped you out. But we have some bonus tips for you from our Discord.
These guys are veterans. They're more seasoned than we are. They have good things to say.
Why don't you tell them about the samples?
My brothers, samples are shared. So if you pick up a sample and you extract with it, I'm getting those samples. And that's awesome. So just keep that in mind. It's not per player. And I didn't know that starting out, so I think that's important to know. And also, if you drop your samples, meaning you're dead and you have to go back to your body because your samples are there, do it. It's important. If you have the luxury to go back and get your samples, do it. Because you need samples to upgrade your ship. And you need to upgrade your ship if you want to improve the quality of your play and the gadgets at your disposal. All right, those are all of our tips, right? We think those things are important for new players, particularly all these Xbox guys coming our way. But it's not everything, right? So it is important that I think it's important you guys share with us what you think we're missing. Dumb decisions.